Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday.
Is it? What
Is
is
it
that
what?
brightness coming in from the background? What is?
Vampire Man. You're not used to seeing the
Like,
daylight come into that room. Hello, everybody. It's Two
uh,
Legs and another live Sunday edition here. We've done this the last, I think, 4 weeks, and Tom can make it now. I'm glad. And it's been a nice little um, period for us where we can go live on these Sundays and just generate a discussion with people that can look forward to it. We might have a guest or two pop on with us this Sunday morning. We won't say who it is until he actually makes it into the stage. But yeah. Well, Tom never went anywhere, Tony. He just wasn't available. He's always been here. Good morning, MVP and Ollie and Vinyl Guy and
MVP
James. Hello, hello.
Matthew, what's going on,
Two actual
ladies
legs
and
today.
germs?
Two actual legs today. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, again, our schedules don't always jive.
that is correct. And what's wrong with that? Nothing,
Uh-huh.
really. I mean, it
Our
just
last episode dropped last night, 247, which is with the Liverani boys and Joe Mantaneo about the Highline Ballroom. So we'll see how that goes. Hello, Ted.
hello, Ted.
I just had to rip myself away from the Highline show to check in. Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate that.
So, so what's going on, man? Anything good? Listen to anything this week or
Uh,
watch
well,
anything?
well, uh, really been just been locked in with the Knicks and the Rangers sports wise, and I really kind of just dove back in with Memory Almost Full because we had to get rid of ready for that episode. So it was nice listening to that
Yeah.
album. Last night I have a bootleg of some of those performances that he did, and really high quality. I watched the Electric Proms performance,
Mm.
which was really nice. Um, we did. I'd like to think we did. Um, thank you, Heidi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Laura.
Hello, Laura.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah, and it's just great to connect. And we actually was able to post the photos from Tom Liverani of the crowd, of which I remember very well, and then obviously that great shadow box that he has of Abe's drum, the drumstick and the ticket, really nice. And of
It's
course their
it's
picture
it,
with Paul.
yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's cool and it's funny. It's at the same time. It's just like you're at a show and you don't know anyone, and then 10 years later, whatever, however long later, then you discover that people that you've met, since then were there as well. So
Yeah, Kyle Hand. Hey man,
Kyle.
hope you're enjoying your
Oh,
recent acquisition of vinyl. You had told me about that you got some Yes ones too. Cool.
ah, oh, really? So listening to Yes.
He got yeah. Well, he messaged me about the Beach Boys chat that I had last week. We had gone off into a Beach Boys tangent. And we were talking about that, and then he said how he just
Okay.
got a bunch of albums recently. So I'm glad that he got those. Ollie Perry Paul was great on Memory Muscle promotion stuff. Haven't listened to the show yet.
Mm.
Friend went to the Electric Proms. I missed out as I was trying to see Brian Wilson when the tickets went on sale. Yeah, the Electric Proms gig was good. I hadn't seen it in a long, long time since last night. And you can't
Mm.
really find any of that concert footage in full on YouTube. I looked. There's a couple of clips of House of Wax and but there's not a full performance of any of those 2007 shows on YouTube at all.
Right. Yeah, because I did check out the one he did in France, and obviously he did Michelle there for that show, but they were all pretty much the same
Here
for the
and there,
most
like
part.
the Electric Proms was a little bit of a bigger audience, so like he did Mystery Tour and things like that, so a bigger crowd, So
Mm.
get on board, Kyle.
Oh boy.
Get on board, Kyle. And check out some of my own shows on my own channel where I did dedicated episodes to Yes. Got the Talk box set coming at the end of the month. So, yeah, those set lists were a little bit different than the smaller ones. Yeah, again, bits and pieces, but not a full performance. Not a full performance. Yeah. Matt. With the Mind Games launch, One Hand Clapping, and Ringo and George's record store releases, it became crystal clear how respectfully coordinating solo releases could be for all concerned. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at 2018, right? I mean, we had 1 month. It was 4 months straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had the Ringo, we had the Sergeant Pepper, we had I think the first Lennon box set, and then we had then we had Egypt Station, and we also had the two McCartney box sets. So,
All from
um,
September through
yeah,
December of that year, which was a
yeah.
pretty
So,
momentous time for me. And then the Big Barn box too. Yeah. I'm just looking at my window now. I see actually the sun coming out for the first time in quite a while. Wow. What a novel concept. Let me grab that DVD real quick just so I can show you the track list.
yeah, yeah, sure. All right. Yeah, Kyle, I didn't get a chance to listen. I know it dropped. The high from One Hand Clapping dropped. I haven't had a chance to listen to it. And to be honest with you, I think I'm just gonna wait until I get the CD or the vinyl to actually listen.
Hmm. I did listen to that yesterday morning. I saw it drop or Friday morning. That was a great, good
Right.
rockin' version of High.
Mm,
Yeah, so this is this DVD I have. It's just called Paul McCartney '07.
okay.
All right,
Okay.
and there, and then the three shows are on here. Okay, Paris, the Roadhouse, and this
Okay.
some Jules Holland stuff. So
Oh
as you
yeah,
can,
because he did that show. The late was it later with Jules Holland? Was that
later
what
with
it's
Jules
called?
Holland, June 8th, right? Only
Yeah.
on the nose
Yeah.
days tonight. I've got a feeling.
Yeah.
So I hadn't dusted this
You
because
ever
again,
watch that? You ever watch his show later? Have you ever watched that? Kind of like how that setup is. It's just
yeah,
it bounces from band to band to band on the same
yeah. I think it's
on
a
the
yeah.
same.
Jules Holland also of Squeeze too.
Mm,
Um, certainly is. I think Jeff Britton is a bit on the busy side. Oh, on the drumming on High. Yeah,
mm.
it's tight. It's a very tight performance. But I respect your opinion to just listen to it in full when you get the vinyl or the CD and just listen to
Yeah.
it that way.
Right.
I couldn't be that patient. If we get little snippets, I have to listen to it. That it's like when we heard it's like when we got that copy of that version of oh, what was it? What was it? Long Tail Winter? What? Oh no, it was
Um.
McCartney 3. Remember we got it like at midnight or
Oh
something.
yeah, yeah. Right.
What the hell song was it?
Find My Way.
Find My Way. Yes, it was Find My Way, and it snuck out, and somebody got in trouble for playing it, but we heard it like at midnight or whatever. Remember?
Right. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Actually, yeah, it was the one of the Breakfast with Beatles guys. He played two tracks, and he wasn't supposed to.
Mm. Paul's best performance on Later was when he was plugging Run Double Run.
Hmm.
Mm. Ted says yesterday I noticed while going back and forth between Get Back and Let It Be, there's a small audio difference. When John sings "Don't Let Me Down," the camera goes to the street. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yes, and it's better.
Hmm.
Okay. Kyle says, Tom, I liked your take a few weeks back that Paul might follow Neil Young's lead of releasing unreleased projects.
I mean, if it's out there, get it out there. I mean, Neil though is so prolific. I mean, even back then, Neil has, prepared so many different records throughout his career and then not released them for one reason or another. So he's just got so much in the archives that I think it'd be great for Paul to take advantage of something like that.
Mm, I agree.
Mhm.
I did see this photo on social media yesterday. Did you see it, Tom,
Yeah.
of Paul leaving MPL?
Yeah, had some paperwork or something like that in his hand. Maybe some residual, information, or discovering that he's now a billionaire in the UK. I mean, who knows?
Which I thought that was already we knew that already.
Well, here in the States, I think he's considered a billionaire, but I think UK is a little
Yeah.
different.
Um, Ted, I couldn't agree with you more. When you hear John's voice from the street, that's what's so awesome. Totally agree.
Agreed. Agreed.
Thank you, Noah. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Noah.
Thanks a lot.
That was fun. That was really fun.
And
We've been trying to get I've wanted to get the Liveranis on for a while, and then this was the perfect thing.
yeah,
To
because
get
we,
them
we
on.
wanted to get them on because their story is so iconic with getting to meet
Right,
Paul at a sound check. And it was on our radar to just get, and this worked out well that they were at that show too.
right.
I acquired it, Tony. That's all I can tell you.
Come on, Tony. Just Google it. I'm
I
sure you'll
love
find it.
I love those. I don't know. I can't remember even where I got this or when. I mean, I have an idea where I got it, but you get them how you get them. You would think.
Yeah, you would think.
You would think. Um. Oh, something else. I had to ask
Anywho.
you something. Oh yeah, did you see? Handlebar stashes are not coming back. Laura says I would release.
Uh,
I wish they would release the Help movie again. I love that goofy movie. Love the songs in
uh,
Help. Well, I don't know.
hmm.
I got that nice big box set released. Tom, do you have that? The Help big box.
I no, not the big that big box. I have seen it, but I just chose to get the
The,
just the single release when it came out. Yeah,
you can find that kind of deluxe version of Help for really cheap, like 30
yeah,
bucks. It's with
yeah.
the script and everything in there. Really nice, well done. I'm sure some of you know what we're talking about. It's that deluxe version of Help. Yeah. No, not yet. Not yet.
None that we can, you know.
Yeah. Um, I knew I wanted to add. Did you see Tone talking to, I think it was Joe, about the price on the Mind Games Uber box and how
Right.
so in the UK they actually have to end up paying about $1,700 for it, and they're getting
Yes.
charged more.
Right.
But that's kind
They're
of
getting
crappy.
charged more.
So it's
It is.
$1,350 right? And in the UK,
Right.
whatever, when in the UK, it ends up being $1,700. I'm not sure what that is in pound sterling, but they're ended up paying about $300 more for theirs, and that kind of was crappy for them.
Right.
And
Yeah, and I was watching Cozen talk about that too, and that kind of like pushed him away from buying the box because he saw the UK price and thought it was, the US price as well. So if he had saw the US price originally, he said he might have bought it,
did he
but
not?
he
Did he
just
not
got
go for it?
no, not the, not the bigger box, which is we learned is now available again.
It's not sold out anymore.
It's not sold out anymore. I mean, probably some credit cards probably got declined or something like that, and maybe they opted not to use the Affirm route, and uh,
Um, yeah. So I just think that was kind of crappy.
yeah.
The movie. Oh God, yeah. We're talking 1965 too. What are the odds that the four Sam Mendes movies turn out well? I'll defer to you, movie guru.
Well, listen, I mean, Sam Mendes is a very qualified director. I think he's fantastic. He's an Oscar-winning director. I have faith in these projects, but again, it just depends on how they're presented, how well they're written. How accurate are they? I mean, that there's just so many questions still out there about these four films.
Noah, we can hope. That's why I'm rocking my 2022 shirt. We can hope.
I mean, we've all talked about this. Should he tour again? Will he tour again? Should he just concentrate on new music? Obviously, if he comes to Detroit tomorrow, I'll be there. However, I would much rather he just myself personally, just much rather him concentrate on new music.
Agreed. Yeah, exactly, Matt. And how
Yeah,
how objective they are. And from what we read in the press release, they've been given free reign to write it as is. I'm sure that the estates and the two will be like, take that out if they want. We'll see.
Yeah, you got to remember. I mean, Giles. I mean, he said that he answers to them. If he remixes it, they still have to approve it. So it's just not like he's doing it and then just putting it out. No, he's doing it, but they still have to approve it.
Mm-hmm. Will I be using the iChing coins for? No, I will not. We can only hope.
There you
MVP.
Go. MVP has spoken.
I hate when people say, "Are people really going to see the Ringo one?" That's the one I'm most excited for. Cool, Kyle. Of course, and his story really could be. Think about it. That's a guy who wasn't. They didn't think he was going to live because he was so sick as a child. And here he is now, eating his broccoli and peace and loving his way to going to be 84 in July. It's going to be 84 in July.
I mean, people forget. I mean, he was the most popular of the batch. I mean, he was the most well known. He was the most respected. I mean, he had a car, for Christ's sake, before the rest of them did.
Yes, he did.
He had a beard. So yeah, it's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be there. I'll see all four of them.
Of course. Did I say what?
It is gonna.
Go ahead.
And it'll also be interesting to see how they release them. Will they be released all four times? Will they just be released streaming? Will they, will they have?
And that's interesting.
How will all four interact with each other? How will they be told? So.
Yeah. I like this comment here, and I was just talking with the MVP about this last night. Paul should do.
He will never announce a farewell or a final show. I don't think he will ever do that.
No. And we talked about that last year when that bogus that bogus flyer went up.
Right.
We talked about he's not going to do that. So we did invite a couple of people on today. One one may pop on, and the other one is here, and he's in backstage now. Looks like he's going mobile, as the Who sings, in his car. Let's bring him up here. Hold on.
Going mobile.
Hey, hello, Joe.
Hello, guys.
Good morning, sir.
Hi.
Hey, I just finished the record show. I was at a record show.
Well,
very cool.
Here I am.
Did you buy anything?
Yeah, I did. Stuff I don't need, of course, but I bought stuff. One of them was a Jack Lemmon Sings record album.
Really?
Which I thought was kind of amusing. So
okay.
Jack Lemmon Sings. Very cool. Very cool. Did you sell anything or did you just buy?
No, just bought.
Okay.
Just bought.
Bought a couple of Ricky Nelson EPs, Dwayne Eddy EP, some other stuff.
Matt, we're talking about the movies, Joe. About the biopics by Sam Mendes, and we were just before you came on. That's what we were talking about.
Oh.
And Matt says here, Ringo's story could be the most objective viewpoint. It might. And a couple of comments were saying how people look. They're who's really going to watch the Ringo one? And our friend Kyle Hand said that's the one he can't wait. He's looking forward to that one the most.
Yeah, I'm still not ready too much to talk about that myself because I don't know what they're going to do exactly. But
right.
They had they gave us the rough idea.
I can't believe that they're opting to do 4 movies on the 4 of them and not just one film, like a Beatles biopic with 4. They're going to do 4 individual films on the 4 guys and not one collective film where you cast people. I'm really just intrigued by that decision.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to see as it gets. Did they say like 2027 or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's still a few years. Still a few years away.
Who knows how it may change between now and then.
Yeah. Hello, Susan Gagney. Good morning, my friend.
Hello.
There's our friend Joe Mantaneo, who was just on our episode 247.
Hi.
Hello. So you didn't. So what else did you buy, Joe? That was it. No, nothing Beatle related.
Well, I bought the album Silky that had "You Got to Hide Your Love Away" on it because I liked their version of
Mm.
that, and I figured, these were good deals. They were half off, So some of them were $5, So I said, why not? And
Yeah.
they've also got what is that Four Seasons, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons album, the newspaper one,
The Genuine Imitation Life Gazette.
right. But this was for $10. It was half off, $10, and it had it was a promo, a white label
Oh,
promo.
that's cool. Now, do you actually have a copy of that album already previously or no?
Yeah, I do. The guy named George, Music for All Four Seasons,
Mm.
gifted it to me, and I listened to it, and I did like it.
That
So,
is a great record, man. And that actually got a record store day release this year. It was
Oh, I
gone at
didn't
my
know
store. Yeah, it got a record store day release. Very limited quantities though. It was the two stores I checked. It was gone. But that's the Four Seasons trying to do their take on Sergeant Pepper. If
Right.
anybody's not really aware of that, but
it's a psychedelic kind of Four Seasons, I guess.
and I think it's a great record. Mrs. Stately's Garden. I love that
That's
song.
that's the song that stands out to me.
Yes,
Okay.
Mrs. Stately's Garden is the one for sure.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, there he is. That's the guy who gifted it to you. A promo
There
copy.
he is.
I think I have.
Yeah,
think I
yeah.
have a copy of it. Let me check the archives while you guys talk. Hold on.
Yeah, George. It was it had a $20 sticker on it, but everything in that guy's collection was half off. So I got it for $10. White label promo,
Nice.
pretty good shape. So
Very cool. Very cool.
I knew I had it.
yeah, there we go.
All right.
This is before Jethro Tull, sometime in New York City. It's before any of that.
Yeah, another rip-off idea from John, huh?
Oh, stop.
Hey, how about that new Planet of the Apes film, Tom? Huh? We'll talk about that.
Hey, we'll talk about that Wednesday night, perhaps. I was really shocked that. Did your girlfriend wanted this? Did she want to see it, or did you want to see it? Again?
We went out to dinner and then we talking. I wanted to see a movie, and I mentioned I mentioned it first. I got to tell you, and she said,
Right.
"Yeah, I'd like to see that." And it was,
Okay.
and I liked it. The first time I was like, so. Second time I was like, I
Right.
liked it. She said she really liked it.
Oh wow.
Mm.
So
Okay. Very cool.
I got to do a whole nother review.
Never heard of it. Most people have not.
Well,
that's
see, and that's the thing. It's just like if you don't follow a career, if you stop following people's career, I mean, it's very easy to, miss an album and or miss a section of their career if you don't continue to follow. I mean, like if the hits stop coming. I mean, were there any actual hits on that
No.
record?
No, the heyday was over for the Four Seasons by 1969.
Okay.
Just like the Beach Boys, really, their heyday was done. And I just know you just can't wait to watch that documentary that drops this
I
week.
cannot wait.
Aren't you going to call? Are you going to call out of work
Yeah.
and watch that and review it with Joe on your channel? Aren't you? Well, you don't like the Beach Boys, and Joe doesn't like Pet Sounds, but Joe likes the Beach Boys, just not Pet Sounds, right?
Yeah, well, I like them. I don't like them much later either. But there was an album. Now that you mention it, I can't remember the name. It was from 1972. I know that. I remember the album, and I was like played a track from it at the store, record store, and I liked it. And I think there was some different people, a different vocalist.
Well, do you remember? It could have been Carl and the Passions. Or was it Holland? Carl and the Passions came out in 72.
It was 72, and I can't remember the song that I really liked on there. And I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
It might have been All This Is That, which is a great track off of that album. It could have been. Will Jackson, here you go. This is the album again. Yeah. And this cover got changed, too, later on to put their actual faces on it. So this is a first edition. Yeah. Let's see. Planet of the Apes got a nice write-up in the New York Times. Leaving this town? That's what Ollie's saying. Maybe that's the Beach Boys song you were referring to, Joe. I don't know.
Can't remember. I mean, I don't know. I just happened to look at the album on the back, and it was 1972. That's all I remember about it.
I'm going to be very curious to see how much Brian Wilson contributes to this documentary, because he just does not look to be in the best health these days. You've seen him in the promotional shot for the film on the beach recreating the Surf and Safari cover. I just don't know how much he's going to be in it.
don't forget, we don't know how long it took for this to. I mean, he could have done interviews 4 or 5 years ago for this. I mean, sometimes these take these take years to make
Yeah, that
and
that
put
drops
together.
flat. Yeah.
I mean, they could have stuck a needle in him, shot him something full of energy, and
Well,
he could have done a good interview. You never
Sounds
know.
like somebody else I know. They do that once in a
it's
while.
like it's like when you watch Let It Be now, and you see Peter Jackson talking to Michael Lindsay Hogg, and it's April 2023,
Right.
over a year ago. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah, they sit on the stuff and release it. But have either of you guys gone back and watched bits of Let It Be again on Disney Plus?
Yeah. I just, yeah, I've been fascinated about it.
I watched it twice.
Release.
I think it's much more enjoyable now than it ever was.
After the Get Back experience.
Yeah, I mean, I already knew it very well anyway, but it really does feel like it's not so gloomy after seeing it.
No,
After seeing Get Back.
it's not. And context is everything, right? Like 1970, people are like, "Oh, this film, the Beatles broke up. It's so miserable. The scenes are so," when information was scarce pre-internet, it kind of has this. The film carried this kind of negative connotation to it, probably for not the right reasons.
I also saw somewhere online that Ringo retracted what he said. Remember, he was saying it's I get no joy.
Yeah.
He said he doesn't get much joy from it or something. But now he says it's good.
Yeah.
Well, they were showing. There was a clip of him making the rounds on social media, talking about but it was not a recent clip. It was old. It was like years ago, and they're saying how they weren't that happy, or it wasn't a happy period. But it wasn't a recent interview. I don't know why that interview was making the news
Circulating.
feeds. Yeah, it was not new at all.
Mhm.
Is it true that Jackson used avoiding any shots that were in the original Let It Be?
He had mentioned that he didn't want to use anything from Let It Be in the Let It Be into the Get Back.
Of course not.
But there
film,
are a few things.
But
in
there
there.
are. Yeah, Heather, is in a lot of
So some of those Heather coming in and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the rooftop stuff, as well.
Watch the Paul highlight reel in the middle. That's what Tom called it, the Paul highlight reel.
Well, I mean, that's to me, that's I guess the highlight of it, other than the rooftop. It's amazing
Right.
that 3 songs are just incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we are going to have another.
Yeah.
We are going to have another guest momentarily coming on in a couple of seconds. So
All right.
stand by. I did not, Laura, yet, but I remember the link from last time. It's in my save to watch later. Different angles, yeah. We'll see. And we haven't had this person on. We haven't had this person on before. We've had him on the show, but not live. So
Right.
this will be fun. Yep. I want an interview with Heather.
Heather wants nothing to do with any publicity or interviews or anything like. Look, she grew up, in the camera's eye. I'm sure she got tired of it.
She wants to live a very private life, and you have to respect that.
Life is tough.
I believe she's a photographer.
No, she's a potter. I don't know the exact pottery. She's in the pottery.
You said pothead. I was like, what?
Yeah, no. She's in the pottery, but I know that she didn't. Then I know her. She got connected with her real father again. But then I had heard that he had committed suicide, and then I know, kind of maybe fell into a little bit of a depression over that. But
yeah. All right. Well, we have our guests backstage, and let's bring them on right now. In 3, 2, 1. There he
there he
is.
is.
Oh, Darren.
Is this Meatballs with Mario?
It could be. It could be.
I think
Are
I
you-
may have dialed into the wrong show. I was supposed to do
Right, you did, yeah. Were you trying to find a spot? Yeah, you trying to find a spot for the new Mind Games display there? Or
No, there is no spot. No, so I've maxed out. I maxed out spots. My George Harrison is still in the box. I've looked in it from the box. It sits with several other boxes in my living room, and that is going to be the beginnings of my wife's divorce.
Wait a minute. When you say the box, you mean like the shipping box? You still have it in that?
Yeah,
Yes.
because we have not been able to make up our mind where it's going to go.
Oh, come on.
Okay, so because there's certain parts of the house that they refuse to let
all
Darren
of us
take over.
Right. All of us in this, in these four walls or whatever you want to call it, we need that room at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, right, where they're pushing the Ark of the Covenant. We all need that room.
That's why Joe amazes me, and I think I asked Joe this once. I think at either, I don't know if it was in person at the Fest for Beatles fans. Joe has like everything that was ever manufactured, and he fits it into an apartment.
Well, no, I don't have it. Oh, I don't have anywhere near everything manufactured,
but it seems that way. And then I'm like, well, how do you do it? And I'm from the Bronx. I lived in 3 rooms till I was 30, and then I graduated to 4 rooms. And now I'm in a full house, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't.
Well,
know.
some of it's in the living room. That's where my All Things Must Pass crate is in the living room. That's where the Lennon box will be, in the living room.
Yeah, my wife said if we could put the. She said we could put the All Things Must Pass crate here in the living room, but there's so many things that got to get moved around. I got to relocate my stereos yet because I have all this big surround sound thing that I haven't been able to fully hook up because it's like I got to put speakers on top of the dining room table. I mean, it's so. I'm having
problems,
and then I think about it a lot, and I start getting panic attacks, and then I have to go take a nap.
Well, I'm very lucky because my girlfriend, who I've been with for a long time, she is the one who encourages me to get these things. She says you got to have this. You got to get. She's the one who broke out the laptop and said, "All right, let's go. Let's order this. Let's go." I said, "Wait a minute. I'm not even sure I want it yet." And she said, "No,
you were gonna get it, Joe. Come on."
No, I really wasn't sure, so I would tell you the truth. No, I swear I was like, "Well, that's a lot of money. I don't know." And then when what it is she orders it, I pay her. I give her the cash, but she puts it on the thing, and I give her the cash. But I still got to pay for it. So.
All right. Well,
I got to be the one.
I have two observations here. First of all, do you see the day, and not getting too personal with you, where you might get married, or
not again? No, I've been through that trip once.
Because if you do get married, give it about 10 years, and she will no longer be interested in shopping with you online. My wife used to come to the fest and get so blown away by the fact that I could drop $200 and get an original pressing of Sgt. Pepper. Okay, that lasted about 5 years, and now it's like more is coming.
But you got to understand, Darren, we've been together 13, so
and
it's already.
I also noticed you living in your car, Joe.
Oh yeah, that's why.
So
yeah,
he bought the Mind Games box, folks, but
now he's been banished to the car. So
well, I'm lucky also that she's a collector of. She collects dollhouses. All right. So
I remember you telling me that. Well, that's
those
cool.
take up space. So she knows what it's like, and she's actually the one that tells me sometimes, well, you could put some of these posters, frame them, put them in the living room. I'm like, she's inviting me to put them in the living room. Usually you'll never get that, right? And I'm like, no, because the music room is the music room. That's everything should be in that room.
Oh, I wish. I mean, I was told you could put up small posters on the roof of the car, but
yeah. So talk about what's behind you, Darren, right now. What's the setup you got behind you?
That's the other thing I was going to say. Don't be thrown by this. I tend to do a lot of my radio work and things we said today more times than not down here. Down here is in the basement, and this is my son's video game lair. He got the gene of being a collector from me, and whereas whatever triggered it, because I always tended to lean towards, especially when you get your first job and you've got a little money, you start buying some albums and it builds.
Right. Yeah.
My son got the collector's gene, so his thing is video games, and he tends, as much as he's into what's currently out and what's current, he tends to be a retro gamer and collects games. So down here we go. I don't even know all the. I mean, every Nintendo possibility. He's got a couple of hundred games for every system that's been made, and is. I mean, you've got like back here a Sega Genesis. We got Ataris down there. He's got a rack of old.
So what you're
Atari
saying
games
is you need to get him moved out and all that stuff.
Well,
You need to take that room over.
this was supposed to be when we bought the house. Bought this house. I was supposed to set up my music down here, and I got out of the blue freak out, thinking, "Wait a minute, basement." I'm a homeowner for the first time. Basement. I've heard basement
Right.
nightmare. That's the last thing that I need, is that we have flooding or some sort of issues. Now we do get water down here when it rains excessively, and it only gets like a corner of the rug wet, which is tolerable, except if, of course, mold starts forming in the rug. We are looking at potentially having to take all of this out now and have the floorboards all busted up because they got to put in drains. And I'm terrified of that because that's a massive overhaul. But it ended up being, I just said, no, I don't want to be in the basement with my stuff. I'm afraid water damage. So I picked another room in the house, which is smaller, which would have been fine 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And now is like a warehouse that I could barely navigate in there. And don't ask me to find stuff anymore. I'm like, at WFUV, they might ask me, Darren, you have such and such CD? I'm like, yeah, but if you really, I'm not interested in getting lost in there or fall and get hurt. And then for years, I don't know where it is in there anymore. It's going to take a massive go in here, and how are we going to fit all of this stuff in this little,
Right.
Americans and their stuff, as Peter Boothroyd says here. Americans own a lot of stuff. We do.
This stuff's going to end up going into storage. The triplicates, the duplicates, the not so important, the magazines that really I don't need to keep, but I'm still keeping them.
Why am I seeing balloons?
Happy birthday, Andy.
I guess. I don't know. So my birthday's not for a while.
And also the working in radio. There was a period of about 20 years where I was almost on a daily basis coming home, with free CDs,
free stuff,
promo pack, promo press kits and whatnot. And do I really need this? Fringe band that I'm sort of in. Yeah, why not? And
you play anything from the new Avett Brothers album yet?
Avett Brothers, yes.
Yeah, Avett Brothers, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Avett Brothers, we play.
Yeah.
We've been a big Avett Brothers station, I think, since their album Emotionalism.
Yeah.
And everything pretty much that they've done since then. I like them. I like them a lot, but small.
I like them too.
Small quantities, because sometimes I find that they get a little. I can't listen to them a lot. Very popular, and they're pretty cool. They are cool.
Nice.
So Darren, you guys, your most recent episode of Things We Said Today dropped, and I skimmed it this morning. I went right to the mind game section, and I really enjoyed your comments on the kind of not so clear breakdown of what's in this thing, and how the press release was not really worded the best way. And I appreciated what you were saying. You're like, now I need Tylenol to process what I just read.
It was confusing, and I've always found, and this is not just Beatles, this goes for any act that you might like that will reissue albums and come out with the first thing that started to blow my mind was when they would put out multiple copies of or multiple formats of, say, they reissue an album. You could get the deluxe, you could get the standard. Okay. How do I know? How am I keeping on top of this? I want the deluxe. Is there a deluxe? I'm only looking here on Amazon. I see a standard, and you go, there's a 2 CD set available somewhere. That always would confuse me even when it was simple back in the day. And it's gotten more and more complicated, where now a box set comes out. There's the super deluxe box set. There's the regular box set. There's the 3 CD set, the 2 CD set. And then it's like, okay, I think I want the whole shebang, but they're cheating me out of a book that I want if I don't get this smaller box set.
It's
So
a mind game.
yeah, and now
It's-
with this
it's a-
one, this was easy because I saw the price. Even after I saw the price, I thought I'm still licking my wounds from missing out on that Wings box set, the combined
The
Wild
big barn bed,
Speedway.
our big
Yeah,
barn
I
box,
skipped that too.
yeah.
I wanted
Yeah.
it and never. That was I learned my lesson with that one. That these things
There.
come out. Yeah,
Yeah.
these things come out and don't last a couple of months till I'm
No.
good and ready to order it.
No.
And it was right before Christmas, and I thought I can't now, but I'm definitely getting. I know I'm getting a DVD that's not available anywhere else for this
Yep.
price. And I just, while I was Christmas shopping online, I went online, sold out. Sold out.
Yeah.
How is that possible? It's not even out yet. It was still before the release date. And from that point on, I sort of thought I don't want to miss out on anything. Bad side of that is that I've got the Egypt Station suitcase, which I'll admit was a misfire.
And I passed on that one too.
All things was passed, I think, even with the price tag, because it can be used. It can be used as furniture. It can be. It can be put in a room. You know what I mean?
Right.
You
Yeah.
could. It could be a piece of furniture if you wanted to sit on it.
Right? Oh no, I can't sit on anything. I break anything I sit on. And with this one, when I saw the video, I thought, oh no, but I wasn't thinking 1,300. And then when I went in the website and I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, all right, $1,300. I'm stewing. Should I buy it? Should I buy it? I'm looking at the other configurations. It's not making any sense. Why does it look like the 7-inch, the vinyl box set is giving you an 8-page book, but the CD box set's giving you an 128-page book?
Yeah.
Is that right? It can't be that. And then there's
Right.
the Lucite Cube that is clearly for the Uber box set. Why is that in with the vinyl?
I don't know.
photograph? The array of photos. Are they putting a 7 LP vinyl box set in a clear cube too?
Like, it would have been helpful if they had made. Sometimes they've done that. They did this with Harrison's, I think. Like, if they have a video showing everything in like how the albums go into it and stuff, then it's easier to understand. Okay, this is how it's packaged. Paul's done it where you can see the album sliding in. It's a video showing you everything that's in the set and how it's housed. This didn't have that, so we're like,
Well, the Mind Games thing had a video of that.
Yeah,
right?
I did. I saw the video for that.
I saw the
yeah.
video.
They did, but
I
it's
was concerned about, if I could just say, the way they were stacking things almost looked like it's a puzzle in itself. You have
yes,
to stack
Yeah,
things. And
yes.
it's a little box on the side. This is a record show tag, by the way. The record show
Yeah.
admission. And it's. I mean, when I put all that stuff back, I have to make sure I situated it so.
it's like a puzzle
so
to put it all back in this box or
And-
cube
yeah,
or
I
whatever.
think is brilliant. I think that's great. I think that's brilliant. I think that goes along with a lot, with the Yoko art as well. I think.
Yeah, and
that,
one of my
you know-
viewers said something to me that I hadn't thought about though. When you see in the video for the Mind Games box how the records and everything are stored flat,
Yeah,
yeah.
no good.
you don't want to have them flat. So I'm probably going to take all that stuff, put it on shelves vertically, and then I still want the box because it's so cool. I'm going to be admiring the box. I'll have that probably in the living room and looking at John all the time.
It would be nice. I wonder. It looks like it's probably. I hope it's not bigger. I'm thinking it's probably 12 by 12. I don't
They
remember.
said
my high
13.
school
I heard
math.
13 somewhere.
13 by 13.
Okay, all right. So it's sort of on the order of record jacket size,
Right.
give or
Hmm.
take. So, I mean, maybe there's a way to reconfigure it when you take the stuff out to put it back with the vinyl standing up. And
Yeah,
it
you could turn it on its side, which would be vertical.
did strike me as sort of like when in that video. First of all, what made me nervous were the surgeons with medical gloves on handling it. Go, what the hell is this stuff that they need gloves? Is this like a
Right?
germ-free? Maybe I got to buy it and have like a germ-free environment to keep it in.
Yeah.
And then when they're putting stuff back, I go, how am I going to remember how to put this stuff
How to
all
put this
away?
back?
That's
know.
what I mean. Yeah,
And what are these little boxes? 'Cause then you go look at the descriptions,
Right.
and you're like, How do you fit a flag in there?
Bespoke, whatever that bespoke was, or whatever.
Yeah, that means it's made something to the effect of it's made for you. It's manufactured for you or a small select group, I think. So the flag, which might actually be more like a handkerchief size, I think.
Probably.
But I heard flag, I'm like, okay, all right, I really need to go seek some medical attention.
Well, so let me ask you then this, because then, okay, so we wake up and there it is, 9 a.m. We see our options, and we say, and we know us, right? We know how far we'll go for this stuff. And Darren and Joe, I mean, how far is too far for you guys? Let's say if this was a $2,000 price tag, where do we
That's a
draw
good
the
question,
line?
Tom.
I
That's a
think
good
that's too
question.
far. It's hard to say. It depends on the item. I think $2,000 would be too far.
That would be too much, I think.
Yeah.
I just hope they don't do that. I think that's too far. But now I also feel like, as a collector, I think I've come too far to stop now.
How do you stop
Right.
now?
So now, I have
Yeah.
everything except.
Plus, you have that
the one
FOMO
item
because you didn't get the big barn box, so you're
Right.
like you're burned by that, and you're like, I have to just get it and live with it.
Well,
There's bound
plus
to be
we're
the
just
box
so
that you're
invested.
saying- I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying we're so invested with these 5 camps, right? Beatles and solos, that like we were I was joking with you a little while ago about the Ringo 45 from Amoeba. It's just like we're like constantly refreshing the Amoeba website just so we can be right there to make sure that we got that damn Ringo 45.
Yeah, I missed that. I missed
it's
that
just-
on that.
So it's just like it's like the collectors, our collectors mentality, is that we hear about this and then we have to be right there to get it if we feel the price is right. Like another thing is like I'm glad. I know some people might not like the options that we get the bit more expensive thing and then the second thing down. I like that there's the option right there.
Yeah.
Because I woke up, I saw my options, I ordered
Right.
what I wanted, and I went on with my day.
And you always have multiple ways to pay too, which is why
Yeah.
we can afford some of these things. You can pay it many different ways. You can just charge it. You can pay it over time. There's ways to make this work if it's within your budget. I mean, and that's the end of the game. Whether it's $1,300, $2,000,
It's not within my budget at all. People think I'm rich or something.
Right.
It's not in my budget,
Yeah.
but I make these things work. I'm going to make it work somehow. I just go into the savings and for the
Darren
for
was
the
funny.
future.
Darren was funny. He goes, well, until the credit card statement comes and then I pass out.
Yeah, well, it's like, I get the white out and I'm trying to make changes to the statement before my wife sees this. Let me make that a 1. Okay, and I'll pay it. And she'll wonder, gee, you paid something on time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Be better about just getting these things out, done.
It's true.
And I told Andy this before we got together today. What made this worse for me this week, the announcement happening the same week that David Gilmour put concert tickets on sale. And David Gilmour, what ultimately ended up being 5 nights at Madison Square Garden, is only East Coast. He's only going to play in LA, and it was initially 2 shows. I thought, I'll go to both shows. It's not going to be the first time I did that. And then I see the ticket prices, and I think concert ticket prices, everyone's complained for years about them. They seem in the past year to have gone really through the roof. They've gone up more. I mean, the Electric Light Orchestra, I noticed, it was like, I love you, Jeff Lynne, but are you serious? I'm sorry, you're not worth whatever.
Because it's a final. It's an announcement final tour. I think that's where we're going to get screwed here, because I mean, once Graham Nash is touring, and he's 82 or something like that. I mean, they're going to keep upping these up because they know they're not going to have all these people touring here within the next 10 years
or less.
And then someone will say to me, "But you work in radio." I says, "Yeah, I work in radio, and I know people at Columbia Records, but the industry is different now, and the people at Columbia don't know if they're going to be able to get tickets, for free, I guess." But David Gilmour, 1 ticket, once you add all the fees and stuff, for 1 show was almost $900, and it was
to sit in a good to be in a good seat
on the floor. But even if you went up into the lower rows of the first, like the 100s at the Garden, same price as 10th row on the floor. That's what I found.
So where'd you get the 100s or the floor?
I got both.
Wow.
And then I went up to the.
Yeah.
Then I
I'm
went up.
debating
I went
on-
to a third show.
Oh, go
up,
ahead.
like a couple of sections up was like 4 something.
Right.
That was like maybe in the third 300 or
In the
whatever.
300, that's $400. Yeah, you're right, Darren. The last year or two, it was always like the high end was like 250, 300, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like, forget that. That's just to walk in the door now. It's 250.
And it's
Yeah.
sad.
Like I'm debating. Yeah, I'm debating on seeing Neil Young this Wednesday. I love Neil Young. He's going to be in the Michigan area on Wednesday. And it's an outdoor pavilion. There's lawn seats, $33. I'm like, I'm going to do that. I mean, if I go, that's
Go.
probably what I'll do. I checked out the seats, and then the seats are, I just don't see why I need to spend $115 or whatever.
Yeah,
for
you
a
can get
seat,
lawn
and I
seats for
can
$30.
just-
That's a home run, Tom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
and that's
Yeah.
don't miss that because I saw him last week.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw
And
that. Yeah.
I didn't get.
Yeah.
It was with my radio station, so I wasn't really
Right.
sitting in my seat from beginning to end. I was milling around a
Mm.
bit, but it was sort of like he's brought back the Rust Never Sleeps set with the massive amps.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's a great set list. It's a great set list.
So you're going to go to 2 Gilmore shows at the Garden, Darren? Oh, geez, 3.
Listen,
Wow,
I gotta
yours-
tell you,
There were
Where's
five.
the rest?
when I was doing the tour catering, one of the greatest weeks of my life was doing a week at the Hollywood Bowl, doing the catering for David Gilmour.
Oh, wow.
3 rehearsal days and then 4 show days. Unbelievable. Getting the cooking and listening to him rehearse for 3 days, and then listening to the shows. Unbelievable.
Did you get to meet them?
Yeah, I got to meet Gilmour. I was just like feet, like a foot away from him at one point. So it's there's times where you get to interact with the musicians.
But
Excuse me,
he
guys.
doesn't-
I'm,
not really
I'm
supposed
sorry to
to.
interrupt. I'm down to 4% battery. I want to get
All
off
right.
before I go dead. Sorry,
All right.
guys.
All right,
thanks
Joe.
for-
All right,
thanks for
Joe.
having me.
Good seeing
Um,
you, Joe.
See you, Joe.
Yeah.
Darren, the
Hey.
set, Gilmore doesn't play, but it's like 50-50 in terms of Floyd versus solo material, right?
This tour might be different. He's actually, there's been talk about him ditching all Floyd, Waters era Floyd, as maybe is a little bit of a
Right.
with
Ooh.
Roger. So what I've heard is possible is that the first half of the show is his new album. The second half of his show will be a mix of other solo stuff with things like
Right.
Pink Floyd's Fat Old Son, which he's done before, a Syd Barrett song, Astronomy
Right.
Domini, but probably not anything from The Wall or Dark Side but I don't know if all is said and done whether or not he could completely avoid that stuff.
How? I mean, how you gotta play comfortably numb.
I mean, he could do Comfortably Numb and maybe avoid Dark Side because Roger, the verdict is still out on was Roger Waters' version of Dark Side necessary.
Right.
I still don't
Right.
know. I like it. I don't love it. So maybe Gilmour might, they had a recent war of words where David Gilmour's wife, Holly Sampson, and Waters were going at it in some social media. And that seems to have really stoked the fires of that love affair.
Mm.
But yeah, Pink Floyd's my second favorite band under the Beatles.
Right.
So when they tour or the members tour, it's usually
You're all
I
in,
like to see all the shows if I can.
right?
Same with McCartney and Ringo. It's that way for Gilmour and Waters and Nick Mason.
Yeah, that Nick Mason show was fantastic.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And then so while Gilmour is rehearsing, right, he whipped out this deep cut that he did not perform during the shows. And he performed What's the Deal, which is a track that I adore.
He did that. He did that in New York during a show, but it may
Oh, he
have been
did.
one that
Okay, yeah.
took in and out of the
Yeah.
set. But yeah, so we see what happens with that.
There's no chance of anything from Animals then, right? Probably, Darren.
Yeah.
No, I doubt. I would be shocked.
Right?
He didn't do stuff like that anyway.
No,
I don't know if you've ever seen Gilmour live.
I have not.
Gilmour live is like seeing Floyd without Rick Wright and the others. It's
Right.
with the lasers and the atmosphere and the really cool lighting, and his solo stuff can be very Floydish.
And I've heard some of it. I've seen a couple of great Pink Floyd tribute bands the last couple of summers. There's an Australian Pink Floyd tribute band that's been to Jersey, Aussie Floyd, and then there's one called Brit Floyd.
Yeah.
and they're really good too.
And the Machine,
yeah,
like Granddaddy.
yeah.
But they
Um,
were when Pink Floyd started to reissue their classic albums. They did these immersion box sets, or I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
That was when I realized we're going down a wacky road here, because the Floyd box sets, you get the album, and then you'd get marbles.
Yep. All this
And
other extra
scarf.
stuff. Yes.
And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm not going to wear the scarf because I just dropped $100 some odd for the box set. I wear the scarf, and
Yeah.
I ruin it somehow. So why do I need scarf and marbles?
The
Pardon me?
resale value just goes right out the window.
Yeah. And now look where we're at now. King Crimson would put out 25 CD box sets.
Oh, well, they,
Thought,
yeah.
Like, wow. And then what's happened? I bought a John Mayall box set. I think has 50 some odd CDs in it. Al Stewart, every single fart he ever recorded on 37 CDs. I've got like this heavy, and they're hard to lift now, and I'm getting older. Yeah.
Crimson, you make a good point about Crimson, because David Gargolino, our former co-host of the show, he's a big Crimson guy, and he was showing me some pictures of those Crimson box sets. They are comprehensive, and I think they offer pretty good value for money too on those.
Yeah. But Fripp was so in depth that, like, okay, now I'm listening to the 5.1 mix of disc 8 in mono. I don't know what I'm listening to, because there's all of this, live material. A lot of it, sometimes the sound quality is poor.
Right.
Fripp was never hesitant to put out something that sounded like a bootleg if it had historical value to him.
Like the Yes Record Store Day Yale Bowl. Did you listen to that?
You know what? I haven't played my copy yet because my turntable at the moment is unhooked. But I listened. Evidently, the concert's been online for a long time, and somebody, I think, put their record, the record on. I didn't think it sounded bad, but I'm like, I paid $30-something for 4 songs that sound like this.
It's okay. And what it is, if you got the Super Deluxe Yes album that came out last year, all that audio was on the 4th disc on that set. This is just this was just a repackaged record store release, because they just pulled that audio from that Super Deluxe and threw it out on this.
Okay, all right, good. I did not know that. Yeah, Yes, I drew the line on the deluxe individual Yes album sets. Now they're doing a Fragile.
Fragile's coming out in June, and Talk is coming out at the end of the month.
Yes.
Did you get that?
All right. That's that. There. No, there I got draw the line. It's just going to be Beatles and Pink Floyd.
Okay, so you're not going to go all in for like Yes box sets.
No. I got the last album that they put out in like the 10-inch booklet form.
Yeah.
That's about as far as I'll go. I love Yes, but there has to be some line in the sand drawn about to what extent I'm going to go collecting and spending money. And
now you're going to go see John Anderson on tour. He's playing 2 shows in the area soon.
I was never a massive John Anderson fan solo.
No, but he's playing with a band doing Yes material, and they're awesome. I saw them last. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I would be sort of interested in it. I don't know why. I find that as a Yes fan, I'm one of the few, I think, that's very pro John Davison, and I like the way the band sounds now.
I give you a lot of credit for that, because I just can't vibe with the new stuff. I give you a lot of respect to listen to the new stuff.
It sounds like Yes, but it's different Yes, and it should be different. It's 2020s.
Yeah.
They shouldn't sound like they did in the 70s anymore, but there's enough of a connect to that sound. Plus, I look at Yes, they were starting to change members from their second album. So turnover is what Yes is all about. And so you got a guy in there, for the first time in 100 years, you have a new drummer.
Right.
Well, how many times did Rick Wakeman come and go? That was okay, right? But
yeah.
So, people don't like Jeff Downs. I'm a Jeff Downs fan.
I like Jeff Downs. Jeff Downs is very good, and I think the Fly From Here project is the best. I think that and the Trevor Horn redoing the vocals, which wasn't maybe like a little bit of a shot at Benoit David because he recorded all those vocals himself, and then they wiped it out and redid it with Trevor Horn. Both projects are great. I mean, I respect that the Yes is continuing and progressing to put new music out. It's just tough to listen to a lot of it because a lot of it
sounds
the same to me.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
But that Mirror to the Sky, one song was good. I did like one song on it. It's just, to me, and then you've got a guy who is the life and blood of the band out there with a backing band kicking ass, doing Ritual, Tales, Revealing Signs of God, Awaken, and nailing it out of the park. And you just wish that he could be with the other guys and just go out gracefully. But
I don't totally understand what happened there with, Anderson. It almost seemed as though they found a reason maybe to exclude Anderson, and they, health, and all right, we move on, and you can't come back.
Yeah.
And what happened with Benoit David? It's not the same thing.
Well, he waved the white flag because he couldn't keep up with it anymore. His voice was starting to go, and he just the rigors of the touring he could not keep up with, and he was like, I gotta go.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then they got John Davison in, who's, to me, it just looks like he's John Anderson 30 years ago, a little bit.
Yeah. Looks like Jesus sometimes. I keep thinking that, when he's performing and he's like, and I'm looking at him, I go, I tell whoever I'm with, look up. Sky's going to open.
I know.
The heavens are going to open here.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're not all in for the deluxe stuff, I mean, will you listen to this stuff on streaming, though, just to hear the material?
Yeah, out of curiosity. Yeah, it depends on who it is. If I'm curious what it sounds like, yeah, definitely. And what I do is I have a Spotify account, but if I like something, in my mind, I don't own it till I actually have the physical. And then Spotify comes in handy. I use it for my work, because I have access to a lot of stuff that I can listen to that maybe I don't have the time or access to physically at the radio station. Radio, we don't get serviced with much, if any, CDs anymore. It's all streaming. So if the Avett Brothers album comes out, there's a good chance the full-length album isn't going to be at anyone's disposal. We'll have the tracks that we need to play, and those will come through the music department. And that's how radio is today. So I'll have Spotify where I'll listen to see what they're up to, see what I think of it. If I, maybe I'll pick up a copy of it on CD, or at least know what I'm talking about when I'm on the radio. If someone has a new album coming out and, what am I going to snap my fingers and the CD's not going to exist? I go quick and give a 30-second sampling, so that's what I use Spotify for. But then get the physical.
Would you consider the radio station you're at now? I mean, I would consider that a rarity now, where you guys are actually playing new artists, new music. Whereas I think the bulk of stations now, they have their same 150 songs that they're going to play over and over again. And I think this is where they're going in the wrong direction, because all these legacy acts, they're going to be done soon. Who's going to be the next act that's going to sell out a stadium besides Taylor Swift? Or Metallica. Metallica's not going to be here much longer either. Other
than Taylor Swift, who's going to sell out a 60,000 person arena?
Yeah,
good point.
What's funny is that FUV and trying to find its niche in New York City has settled now for maybe the past decade, where we emphasize new music and we don't turn our back on the older stuff. I think we could be a little more consistent with what older stuff we play. Like Van Morrison, who has always been an artist we've always played, we haven't really been touching any of the albums that he's put out although he puts an album out every other week, it seems like.
He's been very prolific lately, for sure.
Yeah. Now and then we had an intent. We played it Now and Then. The day Now and Then came out once an hour for a full day. That is sort of like, and I was like, really? And I was like, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, Darren. That's great, but we don't do things like that anymore. But yeah, who is going to fill up? I mean, you'll be surprised. I don't know about stadiums, but you'll be surprised a band like Wilco comes by and can sell out an arena 5 nights. And I'm like, okay, wow, I'm still adjusting to that concept. Because I still think of Wilco as being this new band that small band.
That's 30 years old.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and the Avett brothers can sell an arena out.
Yeah, Avid can do. They're doing very good for themselves for sure.
But yeah, FUV prides itself on the amount of new music that we play. There is a little bit of I hesitate to say we're formatted, but there is a pattern to what's done. So we will play, say, the Avett Brothers put out a new record, or I don't know. I always think it's funny that I play these artists every day, and then when I try to think of examples,
Yeah,
I
you
draw
can't
a line
remember.
on another example of someone that we will play a lot of. But we may stick to one or two songs at first and just play those. But you're also hearing 25 new artists, whereas if another station plays 2 or 3, that's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is, and you see it now, and like Tom, to your point about the whole like packing an arena in, you're going to see more of these festivals with 7 or 8 acts on the bill. That's kind of where it is now. 7 or 8 acts on one bill at one venue and go. That's kind of looks like the way it's going now.
Right. Well, I mean, and you see that though too with a lot of these legacy acts too. Like you'll see like a Journey and Foreigner and a Joan Jett going out as on a triple package bill. You know, you and they'll sell out a stadium. They'll do a stadium tour and they'll do very well. You know, but again, it's just like how long can that sustain? When now, even now, I mean, almost these bands almost don't have any original members left.
No, I think
So
that
people
era is
don't
coming.
seem to care.
I think that era is coming to a close of the big stadium shows. Taylor Swift aside, it's not, you're not going to see too much of that anymore. Theaters, small 20,000 seaters, probably, and then that's going to be about it. I think. I mean, Elton John did his final run around, all of them.
You know, I reacted like, really, wow, when the Doobie Brothers went on sale to play Madison Square Garden. I'm like, holy smoke! They got a little more left in the tank for something that size with Steve Winwood opening. But like you say, the days of, it's package tours now. It's that's the world we live in now. And soon it'll be okay. All of the members are gone. So can we accept the songs and the sound from musicians who aren't original members or longtime members? Is that okay? Or should this chapter in music and in our lives be closed?
It's a very polarizing question, because tribute band that acts are getting a few $100s a ticket now. You want to see the Fab Four, it's $150 to see them. So, Almost Queen, and I forget what's the name of the Zeppelin tribute band, the big one. Does it get the Let Out, or
there's a few? There's Led Zeppelin,
right?
I don't remember. Hammer of the Gods.
Hammer of the Gods. I think that's one. So the tribute act, I mean, that's really where it's going to go. If you want the music to continue, you're going to go see these tribute bands, and they're going to play the theaters. I don't think they'll play 20,000. Like, they're not going to play Prudential Center, I don't think, but you can go see tribute bands, and that's how the music is going to live on once these bands are no longer. It's happening now.
I know this show is supposed to be Beatles centric, but it leads me into the next question. What do you guys think about these bands that are out there where there's, I think one of my favorite examples is Foreigner. Bands are out there where there really isn't anything left original. Mick Jones's health was for a while.
That's it. Yeah.
He was a member, but he can't play. So what do you think about these bands that continue on, with few, if any, long-time members?
Well, Yes is a great example of that right now. You've got Steve Howe and Jeff Downs. That's it. I mean, Billy Sherwood, all due respect, goes back to the 90s. Jeff Downs goes to, but like Steve, it's really like without Anderson and Wakeman and of course Chris Squire, it's like a lot of people feel like that is a case in point to what you're talking about. You got really Steve Howe. I mean, Jeff Downs, we're music purists, so we love the music. We know Jeff Downs is a great keyboardist, but most people are going to say that I know and talk to, they're like, okay, it's the Steve Howe show. Why are they calling themselves Yes? That's what people say.
Because in Yes's case, I feel like Chris Squire practically on his deathbed said, Billy Sherwood, keep it going.
Keep it going.
Okay.
And that's why.
The blessing that that okay, that's okay. If you have a problem, it's your problem. The man himself said, "Don't stop." Billy Sherwood is cut out to do the job.
Yeah.
And I guess the same thing with the new drummer, whose name
Jay Shellen.
Yeah, I mean, he was clearly a guy that Alan White and the band liked having because he was doing a lot of the heavy lifting at the end. So when Alan White passes, I'm sure they figured the torch has been handed over. To me, that's okay.
Because he gave the blessing.
Okay.
Fair point, because Chris did do that. That's fair.
But when it starts to get like there's a fringe band that I like, Soft Machine. Okay, they're a very cool band. And a couple of years ago, I couldn't believe that I saw that they were playing somewhere, and I looked up the members, and there's one guy that isn't even an original member who's left in the group. And I listened. They put out a couple of albums to them, and they're great. And I'm like, they sound like Soft Machine. It almost doesn't matter who's are. And they've been embraced by the fan base, as far as I know. Again, it's a small fan base, cult following. But,
right. It really depends for me, like who's in the band. Like I love the original lineup. Chicago is like my top 5 favorite bands. Okay, I saw them live in 2006, but we still had all 3 original horn players there, and we still had Robert Lamb there. Okay, so I thought, okay, it was worth it for me to see that there. And say what you will about Jeff. I mean, he's a fantastic singer, but he's not Peter Cetera.
No.
And
few are.
And he'd been in the band longer than Cetera was at that point in time. You know what I mean? And the same thing with Chamberlain. I think Chamberlain was the other singer that had been in.
Chicago went through a period there where their replacements, Tristan Bowden, the drummer, and Jason Sheff and Keith Hallen, the guitarists, were in there longer than
they're longer than.
And you grew to accept that with Chicago, but then all of a sudden,
now they're just a revolving door. It's
now I think that's the case of Jason
Yeah.
Sheff and Tristan Bowden. They're all starting. I think they were starting to go to here with the constant touring,
right?
And bailed all at the same time, and now you got a replacement band, and that bugs me a little. Chicago's one of my favorites, but I can't.
What it is now. I got another band for you, Darren and Tom. Styx with no.
I no interest at all without what's
Dennis
the
DeYoung.
Original lead.
Dennis DeYoung.
Yeah, Dennis
what do
DeYoung.
you what's that? See, that's another case in point with Styx. I know James Young and Tommy Shaw are there, and they've had they had the same vocalist there for them doing it, but Dennis DeYoung is the guy. I think, and I don't even know if they tour anymore. I'm not sure if they do.
You got to get.
They tour.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In fact, another Beatle podcaster we know and love, Mitch Axelrod, is a huge Styx fan, and was singing the praises of this lineup. Saw them recently. He's a big fan of Lawrence Gowan. Not
really. Yeah.
But you look back and you're like, okay, let's see. Let's go back. Peter Gabriel left Genesis. They survived, and you could say they thrived.
Yes.
All right. Black Sabbath, Ozzy's gone. They landed on their feet. Van Halen landed on their feet. Journey's Steve Perry was not an original vocalist.
But I don't know. But listen, I think those bands though were still in their prime though. I think the business was a lot different back then as well. And then you add more commerciality to say like Genesis, okay, and then they're gonna thrive. Whereas when the Gabriel era wasn't as commercial as say the Collins era was. So I just think it just depends on the era, really.
Yeah.
With those bands that you just said.
That's why I think Styx went through that period where Lawrence Gowan was the new guy. They survived it. They came out the other end. They've kept going. They make occasional albums. I don't know how the quality of what they've done because I haven't heard anything since Cornerstone or Kilroy was here. I'm like, okay, I think it's okay for Styx where they're at now.
And this is the telling point. I didn't mean to interrupt, but the telling point is if you go to these bands' concerts and the set list is 75% of the material of the previous lead singer, that tells you all you need to know. If they really truly believed in the material that they're playing, most of the set would be the new stuff. They're not doing that.
Because people don't want to hear that.
Bingo.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily, I mean, in some instances, I think the people that buy the tickets and go to the shows are all right with who they're seeing play, who they're seeing.
The general public is all right. Freaks like us, I mean, we know the difference. I mean, we pay attention. We've been following these bands for decades.
Yeah. And I contradict myself. That's why I say it's got to be, you take it on a band by band basis, because I will have no problem. I will have no problem seeing Kansas now, even though there's been a lot of turnover because the last couple of studio records they put out were unbelievably good. I was surprised, to be honest with you. And the new members get it. Somehow, whatever it is, they get it. The lead singer, I don't know his name now, in Kansas, but I'm not interested. I was never interested in seeing the later Foreigner.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not really that interested in seeing Styx now. Why? Because Darren, you'll go see Kansas. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just something about Darren. Am I a Fleetwood Mac fan? Oh, absolutely, a big Fleetwood Mac fan. And that's a good example. You bring up Fleetwood Mac.
That's another good example right there of all the different eras
Was I
of a
personally
band.
knocked out when they brought in Mike Campbell and Neil Finn? No, but I felt to myself, the band changed so many times. There's nothing wrong with another change. You went from Peter Green, Christine McVie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Bob
what Fleetwood
Welch.
Mac does.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it didn't have legs. It looks like so. And then
Right.
Christine McVie died. That I'm sure was the kibosh.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Listen. Real quick. Darren, don't go. I got to get ready for work. So you two keep the conversation going. And
I'm good for
we
another
will
10
be-
minutes or so.
Yeah. We'll talk soon. Darren, thanks for popping up. Really
My
appreciate it.
pleasure.
And Andy, we'll talk soon, buddy.
See you, partner.
Take care, everyone. Yep. Bye.
Another band it's interesting though, because certain bands with a brand that's known can continue. I think about the Zombies, right, with Colin Blunstone and Rado Argent.
Yeah.
They've had a renaissance and they go out as the Zombies, and it's just those now. But they're the main two guys, but I see it's different now. You have original members that aren't with them, but the two main guys are there,
Right.
and then no problem.
Right. 10cc's on tour, and what you have is Graham Goldman is the only original member left. You have some of the other guys that joined in the late 70s when like guitarist Rick Fenn, for example, joined in the mid 70s, wasn't an original member. He's still there. Okay, does 10cc, should they still be out there? Or what's funny about that is Graham Goldman's about to put out a solo album, and I'm like, wait a minute. You're touring with 10cc, but when it comes to making new music, you're Graham Goldman. That actually speaks volumes. But so I mean, these bands, they're popping up more and more. It makes you depressed because it's what we listened to growing up.
Let me ask your opinion on this band, because I think this band could tour right now, given the two members that are still alive, even though they weren't founding members. And that band, I just did a show about it on my own channel. That's the Moody Blues. Why couldn't they go out right now?
I don't know this for a fact. I just have picked up vibes that there might be a little friction between Haywood and Lodge, and I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. I interviewed Justin Hayward when he put out the album that has I get the title mixed up with Springsteen's Western Skies.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about.
Justin Hayward solo album out around the mid-aughts, I think it was.
Yes.
Spirits in the Western
That's the one. Yes.
A really, really good album. And I interviewed him then, and I tried to diplomatically get in there because Graham Edge was still alive yet, and they would tour, but there had been the new music from them had stopped for years. And I tried to get out of him, why was that? Why wouldn't the Moody Blues make any new music? And I sort of got the impression that he said John Lodge and Graham Edge were not interested. and didn't think it was worth their time to put out new music. Meanwhile, John Lodge is all of a sudden putting out albums.
Yes.
Graham Edge's death is, I think they decided that's it. I think that two of them, Haywood and Lodge, thought the original members are gone, and I still think there's a little something between
the two of them. And I was thinking maybe because Graham was a founding member, that maybe Justin and John Lodge said, you know what, he's the founding member. We can't go on anymore. Maybe. But I think that those two guys could go out with a backing band as the Moody Blues and be successful.
Or even if they didn't do that, if they went out and say they call themselves Blue Jays,
right,
after the album that they did,
yes,
I think that would be a pretty hot ticket for the older us dinosaurs.
Right. It's the Blue Jays, not the Moody Blues, and then just play that album and play some of the Moody's classics and call it a day.
Right. Yeah.
That's a shame, though.
Yeah, it's where we're at now. Like I said before, it gets depressing because you're looking at all these heroes of ours, and who can't sing anymore, who won't tour anymore, who's still touring, and you think, should you still be touring? I don't think. I'm okay with not seeing Paul McCartney live again.
You're okay with that?
Paul's voice is too shredded up, and I would rather him make a record in a controlled environment, and put out new music, even with a damaged voice. But in the studio, you can sing in different. You could, control it. When he goes out live and he insists to play, maybe I'm amazed.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm okay. You could stop, Paul. I'm all right with no.
Now, having said that, let's say he announces a tour, a 13-date tour. Are you going?
No pun intended. Absolutely.
Of course, you're going to be there.
I was at the one, I guess the last show, which might be the last time I ever saw him live, was MetLife Stadium in Jersey.
This 2022. Right? Yeah.
Right. I was at that show, and somehow I know it's probably getting lost within the mix in a stadium, but his voice was tolerable. It actually at times felt like it was loosening up and he was sounding okay. And now, was he really sounding okay, or is it the backing vocalist? Is the ambiance of the stadium kind of drowning
out the vocals, maybe?
Yeah. But I enjoyed that and thought, okay, all right, this wasn't that bad. I'm the type of fan that sits there and nitpicks. Well, I don't like the shtick in this song. After a while, it's like, Darren, you're watching a concert or you're in the classroom?
Right. What are you doing? You're there to enjoy a concert, right? Why are we sitting there going, that's a good one. Oh, that was off, or that was off. You're there to enjoy the whole thing. And I think you get caught up in the moment at a live concert where you can kind of be like, okay, his voice isn't great, but I'm all in. It's Paul, and who knows if this is going to be the last time, and you take it for what it is. Warts and all, maybe I'm amazed, is a really tough song for him now, but you accept it because you never know when you're going to have it again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But still, McCartney, I'm like, okay. Also, getting back to what we started with money, I'm thinking, all right, you know what? I'm all right with saving a few bucks, seeing you, Paul. Please put out a killer new album. That would make me happy.
Yes.
I liked McCartney 3 a lot. I know a lot of people that weren't nuts about it, and it's not the type album that I think pluck out some of the songs and listen to them individually, but together, even with the voice. I enjoyed McCartney 3, and I was very happy.
I mean, a track like Deep, Deep Feeling took a while to grow on me, but I think it's my favorite track on the album now.
Yeah, yeah.
It just takes a while. So it would be, I think we're going to probably see an album more before we see a tour, the way it's going.
Yeah, I mean, there was talk that he's worked with Andrew Watt.
Yep.
So we see. With Paul, we got Ringo. Ringo seems like he's going to outlive everybody on Earth. I hope so. I mean, he was just, I don't know if you were he had a press conference last week.
Right.
And I don't know if you were dialed into that, but Ringo's press conferences are always, it's just fun to see Ringo. He never gives you a lot of meat and potatoes there. But knowing that he's got in October, in all likelihood, a full-length album coming.
Right, the country album, yes.
Yeah, and he's got this EP, and he's touring again, and there's no sign of him ready to hang up his drumsticks.
No, and
Yeah.
you wonder if McCartney vibes off that and says, "Well, he's still going, so I got to keep going."
Maybe. I mean, Paul seems like every once in a while I'll see a clip of him coming out of see the paparazzi grab a video of him walking, and Paul looks like he's aged.
Yes.
Whereas Ringo looks like he could and in person, because I interviewed Ringo, Ringo's a little guy. You know, Ringo still looks like he could go into a ring and knock me out. You know what
What's
I mean?
he all about? 5'7"?
Tell you in person, he seemed shorter than that. And there's a picture on my Facebook page that pops up once in a while of the two of us together. And I thought I was 5'10". I was just told by my doctor I'm 5'9". I'm like, what the heck did the inch go? I'm losing that too? The hair, the height, everything's going?
Oh, when we
If I
get...
lay on my back, though, the stomach, I'm like 7 feet tall. But, you know, Ringo's a little guy and he's wiry. He's thin. He's like, there isn't a single bit of body fat on him.
No.
And yet I could see him like running circles around me, and I don't know how many years younger I am. And he's the fountain of youth, and he doesn't look like doesn't act like he's anywhere. He's not even thinking about stopping.
He's not. Somebody said here, "Oh, he dyed his hair. Paul stopped doing that." So what? I think I think it's cool that Paul letting himself naturally go how he's supposed to age. But you're right, though. I think he has aged quite a bit. He has.
Paul, I physically, though, I detect a little bit of maybe moving slowly or awkwardly. I just quick video clips you might see on YouTube or something. Paul showed up at this art exhibit, and there he is taking 3 steps.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, gee, he looks old. But yeah, Paul with the white hair, though, that helps. Maybe that was his point.
It does.
You know, it doesn't. I don't have much, so if it grew in plaid, I'd be happy.
You'd be happy.
Yeah.
Before we go out, the Gilmore. Is this the last tour? This is the last tours for him ever, right?
Well, you would think with all of them, you'd think it's the last tour, but there's a magazine, Mojo or Uncut. One of those magazines is an interview with Gilmore. Gilmore is talking like there is another album. That doesn't mean he's touring with it, but I think there's either enough stuff written. There's enough stuff maybe that he started recording already. This album seems to have rejuvenated him a little. He's working with totally different people that it's not like names that you're familiar with. I can't remember now who like produced and stuff. So I think another album might not be that far off. A tour though. Maybe if he enjoys it, I mean, playing a couple of locations, that's fine with me, and maybe that's how you keep going. But I maybe it'd be it's going to be his last. I think we've seen the last of Roger Waters live because of the amount of work that goes into executing a show like his.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Of what you think about him and the controversies.
Right, the production that is like going to a Broadway show when you go to one of his concerts. Now, I didn't go to the concert, but I do have the Blu-ray when he redid The Wall a couple of years ago.
Oh, that was
right.
Yeah,
incredible.
7 shows I saw in that.
You saw 7 of those?
I saw him he played in New York City at the Garden, the Coliseum, Nassau Coliseum, and I believe he was at. Where would he have been? No, he played Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I saw shows in that venue, and then the next tour, I was invited by the record company to go to a rehearsal performance before. The names now get me all mixed up. The one that came after The Wall.
The Final Cut.
No, not the album. The tour.
Oh, the tour.
After he did The Wall, I don't know if it was In the Flesh. I don't know what the name of the tour was, but they did. This was pretty interesting too because they did the concert to a small crowd in the Meadowlands Arena, which had already been long closed. And
the old Brendan Byrne.
It's kept open. I then found out Waters had rented it for a month. They had been rehearsing in there for a month. Coldplay used to use that arena. And it's very strange going into a now closed down arena when you're walking and there's like weeds growing between the steps and the cracks in the sidewalk. And you go inside and it's all dark and everything has been removed. There's nothing in the rafters. And they had us sit in seats on the floor right up near the stage. And Waters did that tour as a dry run.
As a dry run. Wow.
Right. So, yeah, I can't imagine him doing another tour simply because of the scale of what he would want. And I don't want to see him with an acoustic guitar.
No.
You know, I want to see.
You want to see the full-on production. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Well, Darren DeVivo of WFUV and Things We Said Today podcast, thanks for popping on to Two Legs today.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. We have, if I could just
please
do a little plug.
Please.
Little cheap promotion on FUV if you want to listen. I'm on the air Monday through Thursday nights. We start at 10 p.m. till 2 in the morning, and Saturday afternoons from 1 to 4, and that's 90.7 FM. And if you're not in the New York City metro area, WFUV.org. We could stream everything we do. And as for Things We Said Today, you mentioned, Andy, before, we've got a new show. And I'm not going to reveal too much, but if all things break correctly, and we might know more later today, we'll have another show. Hi, Heidi. Thank you. I met you, Heidi. That's Heidi. Right. Yes.
Yes.
Well, people tell me that. We like laughing at you, Darren. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we may have another show next week with a special guest.
Oh.
We're hoping.
Okay.
So, but it's not etched in stone because it could still be, and I don't want to say, and then it ends up being, we end up having to have a puppet show instead,
Right,
so,
right.
But I love working with Alan and Ken, and I'm so grateful that Ken asked me to I guess I replaced Steve Marinucci.
Right.
In 2018. So that's fun. So look for Things We Said Today. And
your most recent episode is on the Let It Be film, Mind Games, and Ringo's EP, or I forget.
Yeah, it just fell together. It was like, wait a minute, we should talk about what we did talk about. No, we talked about Ringo's EP in the show before that. This was Mind Games and the scope of the reissue. Our thoughts on Let It Be. And then
there was a third topic in that show because I listened to it. It dropped this morning, didn't it, or yesterday?
This is not good. I don't remember. There was, and it was. Oh no, it was Ringo's press conference.
Press conference, right?
Just that, setting the stage for the tour coming up, and he talked about the country album.
Yeah.
So, and a little bit about Crooked Boy and working with
Linda Perry. Yeah.
So. That was the third topic. So
cool. Knicks today, 3:30. You watching?
I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan.
Oh God!
Please, it makes sense, doesn't it? Mets fan.
Yes.
Nets, Jets.
Yeah, it does.
So it's just like
All right.
Right now, I'm in a very bad place with sports in general.
Well, the Mets, we have that in common. The Mets are. Let's not go there. Yeah.
And I'm going to London to see them play the Phillies. In 2 weeks.
Oh God!
And I'm thinking to myself, I bought these tickets hoping that the Mets were not going to make me want to get arrested in London for getting in a fight with a Phillies fan or foul language in the stadium.
Now, Darren, keep that inner New York buried in you. But when you go over there,
they're not setting up to be an enjoyable trip to London.
No, they're not.
No,
Oof, a forgettable season. So, Darren, thank you for coming on again today. Everybody on Two Legs Land. Of course, we will see you all next week for episode 248. Have a good week, everybody.